The afternoon sun hung heavy over Maple Ridge Estates, the kind of quiet suburban street where lawns stayed manicured and mailboxes matched the approved shade of taupe. I stood on my front porch, arms crossed, watching Linda Whitaker march across my grass like she owned it. She wore a pastel cardigan buttoned to the top and clutched a clipboard the way a medieval knight might hold shield. "Mr. Reynolds," she said, voice sharp enough to cut glass, "this isn't a hobby farm. It's an eyesore. You have 48 hours to dismantle every one of those raised beds and that little greenhouse, or the association will do it for you and bill you accordingly." Her name was Linda, but everyone called her the HOA president behind her back. Newly elected, eager to leave her mark. Behind her hovered Ed, a retired accountant who served on the board and looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. I kept my tone even. 22 years in Army supply chains had taught me that panic was a luxury. "Those are raised beds, Linda. Personal use only. Behind a 6-foot privacy fence." I measured the setbacks myself 3 times before I put in the first post. She barked a laugh without smiling. "The covenants require all landscaping to blend harmonically with the community aesthetic. Your setup looks like a commercial operation. We've received complaints." I glanced around. The street was silent except for distant lawnmowers. My neighbors, the Harrisons next door, an older couple who'd thanked me more than once for the basket of fresh zucchini I'd left on their porch, were nowhere in sight. On the other side, the Nguyen family had kids who loved watching the bees work my cucumber vines. Complaints? I doubted it. "Show me the complaints," I said, and point to the exact line in the covenants that bans growing vegetables for personal use. I've read all 278 pages. It's not there. Her face flushed the color of overripe beets. "It's about interpretation, Mr. Reynolds. As president, I interpret 48 hours. After that, a $10,000 fine for noncompliance, plus removal costs." $10,000. The number landed like a bad joke, but her eyes said she meant every digit. "If you're still with me, keep reading." What happened next still feels like justice wrapped in perfect irony. The official notice arrived the following morning via certified mail, thick cream stationery embossed with a Maple Ridge logo, a stylized maple leaf that now looked like a clenched fist. It cited Article 9, Section 4. All external modifications required prior approval from the Architectural Review Committee to preserve community harmony. Violations listed: 10 unapproved raised beds, 1 unapproved greenhouse, 1 commercial-grade composter. They conveniently omitted that the beds were cedar, the greenhouse a tidy 8x10 tucked in the back corner, and the composter a sealed tumbler with 0 odor. The fine, 10 grand, plus 500 a day past deadline. My wife, Ellen, read it over my shoulder, her hand on my arm. Ellen's a retired schoolteacher, practical, kind, the one who kept me grounded after my last deployment. She knew the garden wasn't just plants to me. It was structure after chaos, life after too much death. Crop rotation charts, soil tests, the quiet satisfaction of watching seedlings break ground. It was therapy. "This is ridiculous, Jack," she said. "She can't be serious." "Oh, she's serious," I replied. "This isn't about the garden. It's about showing the neighborhood who's boss." I drafted a response that afternoon. Professional, polite, with high-resolution photos showing neat rows, vibrant plants, no mess. I explained the produce was for family and occasional donations to neighbors and the local food pantry. I requested a full board meeting. Sent it. Got an auto reply. 2 days passed. The deadline expired. No chainsaws arrived. On day 3, Linda's reply landed. Appeal denied. Fine now $11,000. Further discussion unnecessary. Final. She'd signed it alone. No board vote mentioned. A procedural mistake born of arrogance. That was her first real error. I turned the kitchen table into a war room. Full covenants and bylaws spread out. Highlighters in every color, black coffee brewing. For 2 solid days, I dissected the document like mission planning. Found contradictions. One section banned commercial operations causing traffic or noise. Mine did neither. Another explicitly allowed small-scale horticulture for personal enjoyment. The harmonious aesthetic clause was vague enough to be a weapon, but also unenforceable when challenged properly. Bylaws required appeals to be heard by the full board. Major fines needed majority approval. Linda had bypassed all of it. I started a file, Project Overreach. Scanned everything. Logged dates. This wasn't about my tomatoes anymore. It was about accountability. I needed allies. I started with morning walks, varying routes, observing. Violation stickers on basketball hoops left out too long. Notices for grass a quarter-inch high. Petty power plays everywhere. First real talk with Mr. Harrison next door. I thanked him again for liking the tomatoes, then mentioned my disagreement with the HOA. His face darkened. "That woman," he whispered. "She fined us last month for our porch swing. Said the chains rattled. My late wife's favorite spot. We've had it 30 years. I took it down. Too old to fight." Anger coiled in my chest. Next, the Nguyen's. Mrs. Nguyen was outside with her boys. Conversation drifted to the HOA. She sighed. "Nightmare. $500 fine because our kid's swing set has red and blue plastic instead of natural wood tones. We're saving to replace it, but with school supplies." The pattern emerged. She targeted the elderly, young families, anyone who couldn't push back. Then I met Frank, a retired Air Force JAG officer in his late 60s, washing his 67 Mustang in the driveway. We talked cars, service, then the neighborhood. "Queen Linda," he said with a dry smile. "Napoleon of the cul-de-sac. What did she hit you with?" I told him everything. He whistled low. 10 grand for vegetables? She's violating half the bylaws herself. Procedural errors alone could sink her. But to really finish it hit her pride, her image. He asked about my donations. "The Riverside Food Pantry?" I nodded. "And where," he asked slowly, "do you suppose the HOA gets produce for that Maple Ridge Fresh Market they brag about every month in the newsletter?" The question landed like artillery. The following Saturday, Ellen and I walked to the community center lot. Families milled around stalls, crafts, honey, baked goods. In the center stood the Maple Ridge Fresh booth, tent emblazoned with the HOA logo. Linda presided in a green apron, smiling benevolently as she handed out bags. On the tables, my Cherokee purple tomatoes, lacy NATO kale with its signature crinkle, Paris market carrots, Kyaja beets striped like candy canes. Even a yellow crookneck squash with the exact nick I'd made harvesting 3 days earlier. We dropped crates at the pantry Thursday. They sold low cost to nonprofits and groups. The HOA was clearly buying and marking up 300 to 400%. Linda presented it as her triumph in farm-to-table community spirit. The hypocrisy was staggering. She wanted to bulldoze my garden while profiting from it and claiming credit. I placed a head of butter lettuce back in its basket. We walked away. The trap was set. Over the next weeks, patience became strategy. Frank advised holding the market revelation as the kill shot. First, build an airtight case. I drafted a formal appeal, timeline, bylaw analysis, photos, notarized statement from 5 neighbors attesting my garden was quiet, beautiful, invisible from the street. No mention of the market. Ellen organized a backyard cookout for the aggrieved. Harrisons, Nguyen's, others. Stories flowed. Fear turned to shared resolve. Frank quietly explained recall procedures. Linda sent another letter. Lien on my property, landscaper scheduled in 10 days, added $3,000 removal fee. She'd handed me the smoking gun. I mailed the appeal packet, certified, to every board member individually. The open meeting was 1 week away. Linda's preemptive email blasted the community. Beautification initiative targeting non-compliant properties. She was justifying herself in advance. The clubhouse meeting drew a crowd. 30 residents. Board at the front table. Linda center stage, confident. Open forum. 3-minute limit. I took the podium. "I'm here because your president threatened to destroy my property and place an illegal lien for over $14,000. Whispers rippled. Linda tried to cut me off. I cited bylaws. She couldn't stop me. I showed slides, panoramic garden photos, lush, orderly. Greenhouse. Fence. Compost bin. Is this blight? I asked. Mr. Harrison stood. It's beautiful. And what she did to my wife's swing was wrong. Mrs. Nguyen, she fined us for our kids' swing set. Voices joined. A chorus of grievances. Linda banged her gavel. I raised a hand. One more thing. Final slide, side by side. My Kyaja beats fresh picked. Same beats at her market booth. Linda, smiling behind them. Gasps. Could you explain, I asked calmly, why you're trying to destroy the garden supplying your signature project? And where the profits from those markups go? Silence. Heavy. Electric. Frank stood. As a licensed attorney and resident, this appears to be a breach of fiduciary duty. Unilateral harassment. Denial of due process. Misrepresentation of goods at an HOA event. We demand full financial records. Board members shifted away from her. One, Tom, an old-timer, held up my packet. I never saw this appeal. No vote on any fine. Another, she told us it was minor. Linda screeched, conspiracy. Tom moved no confidence vote. Seconded. Show of hands. Near unanimous. Her presidency ended in that beige room under fluorescent lights. Aftermath moved fast. New board apologized. Voided lien and fines. Launched audit. Issued apologies to victims. Linda and her husband listed the house within weeks. Gone before winter. Audit showed sloppy books, no outright theft, but unauthorized spending on decorations and consultants. Ego projects funded by my produce. New board offered a contract. I supply the market as Thompson's Harvest. Space, tent, marketing provided. Profits split, part to HOA maintenance. No dues hike, part to the pantry. I accepted. The landscaper arrived on the old date. I showed the voided contract. Truck left quietly. New covenants passed overwhelmingly. Clear rules, homeowner bill of rights protecting gardens, place sets, personal expression. Appeals mandatory. Fines voted. Finances transparent. The neighborhood breathed again. Swings returned. Porch swings rehung. Kids laughed on bright plastic. My garden thrived. Market stall became a Saturday ritual, advice, recipes conversation. One March morning, Mr. Harrison brought a package. Inside, the wind chimes Linda had forced down. My wife would have wanted you to have them, he said. You brought the music back. I hung them on the greenhouse. Their gentle tones carried on the breeze. Ellen joined me in the garden as spring unfolded. Seedlings pushed through soil. Sun warm. Earth rich. Weed defended more than plants. Weed reclaimed decency, fairness, the right to quiet joy. My name is Jack Reynolds. Veteran. Husband. Gardener. And I learned the hardest battles can happen right in your backyard. And sometimes, if you plant justice carefully, the whole community harvests peace. What do you think? Have you ever dealt with an overreaching HOA, a bully in a position of petty power, or seen injustice corrected in your own life? Share your stories in the comments. I'd especially like to hear your thoughts on when standing up crosses into something harder. Retaliation, confrontation, even a line between justice and vengeance. What do you draw it? Let's talk.